He only wanted coffee. No names, no talk. But when the poor waitress smiled at him and walked out into the night, he followed. Not out of lust, out of instinct. Because her little boy had just used the same secret hand sign his dead son once did. By dawn, the Mafia boss who trusted no one was standing at her door. The neon sign outside Rosie's diner flickered like it was tired of pretending. Inside, coffee hissed, silver spoons clinked, and an old jukebox fought a losing battle with silence. Mia, 27, tired eyes under a paper cap, wiped the counter with the slow precision of someone who couldn't afford mistakes. The late shift belonged to her. The empty tables, the smell of burnt oil, the sound of rain crawling down the glass. At the far end sat a man she hadn't seen before. Tailored suit, quiet posture, no phone, no watch checking, no nervous glance, just stillness. He'd ordered black coffee an hour ago and hadn't touched it since. Mia poured him a refill anyway. He didn't look up until the cup was full. "Thank you," he said, voice low, roughened by distance. She nodded, moving to leave, but his next line caught her mid-turn. "You work every night?" "Most," she said. "Bills don't clock out." A ghost of a smile flickered on his face. When she disappeared into the kitchen, the man's gaze drifted toward the fogged window. Outside, through streaks of rain, a small boy sat in an old sedan parked across the street, coloring in a book under the dashboard light. Every few minutes the kid lifted his hand toward the diner window. 3 fingers up, then a circle, then a tap to his chest. The gesture hit him like a bullet to the ribs. That code, 3-circle heart, wasn't random. It was the signal his own son used before he died 5 years ago. Only 2 people ever knew it. Him. And a boy who was buried under another name. The spoon in his hand trembled. Mia returned with the check. "Rough night?" He blinked out of the memory, slid a few bills across the counter. "Something like that." She smiled the way people smile when they don't expect an answer. Her phone buzzed. She checked the time. Midnight. "Need to close up," she said softly. "Rain's getting worse." He watched her pack her tips, grab her jacket, and wave to the cook. Through the window the boy outside waved back. Same 3-circle heart sign. Mia laughed. "That's my son. He thinks it means good luck." The man's pulse stuttered. "Where did he learn it?" "Dunno," she said, zipping her coat. "He makes things up. Says it keeps angels close." She left before he could speak again. The diner door jingled shut, leaving the smell of coffee and rain. The man, Enzo Vitali, name never spoken aloud here, remained seated. The world outside his empire was supposed to be predictable. Money, silence, fear. But a waitress with tired eyes and a child who knew his dead son's secret had just cracked something open. He stood, placed a folded 100 under the cup, and stepped into the storm. Across the street, the sedan's taillights glowed red, fading into the rain-slick alley. He followed at a distance, hands in pockets, eyes fixed on the small silhouette in the passenger seat. For years, Enzo Vitali had followed rivals, traitors, and debts. Tonight, for the first time, he was following hope. Behind the fogged windshield, the boy turned once more toward him. 3 fingers, a circle, a touch to the heart. And Enzo whispered the name he hadn't said since the funeral. Luca. Rain turned the streets into mirrors. Headlights slid across puddles like ghosts that didn't know where to go. Mia held her umbrella low as she hurried down the narrow road. Her shoes were soaked, her jacket too thin, but she didn't care. Her son was asleep in the car seat, and the rent was due tomorrow. Across the street, a black sedan idled 2 car lengths back. Inside, Enzo Vitali drove with one hand, headlights dimmed, radio off. He wasn't tailing her the way he tailed enemies. He was following like a man chasing an answer. He watched her stop at a small grocery store, disappear inside, come out with a single loaf of bread and a bottle of milk. No cash. Food stamps. He memorized the way she tucked her son's blanket tighter before starting the car again. Every corner she turned felt familiar. Every raindrop on the windshield sounded like footsteps from a past he thought he'd buried. 15 minutes later, she parked in front of a half-collapsed apartment block. Peeling paint, burned-out light bulbs, the kind of place his world never noticed. Mia carried the boy up 2 flights, her keys jingling like bells in the silence. Enzo stayed in the car, engine off, window cracked just enough to breathe. Through the rain-blurred glass, he saw her door, number 4B, open, then close. A soft light flicked on behind faded curtains. He told himself to leave. He told himself it was coincidence, superstition, grief. But then he saw something that stopped him cold. A shadow moved near her door, a man's silhouette, shoulders hunched, voice sharp enough to cut through the rain. Enzo stepped out of the car before he even realized he'd moved. The hallway smelled of damp plaster and cigarette smoke. He reached the landing just in time to hear the argument. "I said by Friday, Mia," the landlord barked. "No rent, no room. You and the kid can sleep on the stairs for all I care." "I just need 1 more week," she pleaded. "Not my problem." When the man grabbed her wrist, Enzo spoke from the dark. "That's enough." The landlord turned. The look on Enzo's face killed whatever courage he had left. He stammered, released her arm, and backed away without another word. Mia stood frozen, chest heaving. "You followed me," she whispered. Enzo didn't answer. He just glanced toward the door where her son's toy truck lay on the floor. She picked it up slowly, wary eyes never leaving his face. "You're from the diner," she said. "Yes." "Why are you here?" His voice dropped. "Because your boy used a sign no one else should know." Her brow furrowed. "It's just a game." He shook his head once. "No, it isn't." For a heartbeat, thunder filled the silence between them. Rain hammered the windows like an impatient knock. Enzo stepped back, giving her space. "I'm not here to hurt you," he said quietly. "I just need to understand." She closed the door slowly, but didn't lock it. Inside, a light flickered, then steadied. Enzo leaned against the wall, breathing through memories that no longer obeyed logic. The city around him roared and vanished at once. From behind the door came the faint sound of the boy's voice, soft, sleepy, whispering the same 3-circle heart code. And Enzo, standing in the hallway, realized he wasn't chasing ghosts anymore. He'd found one that could answer back. Morning dragged itself into the building through cracks in the blinds. Mia hadn't slept. The argument with her landlord still pulsed in her ears, but louder than that was the memory of the man in the hallway, the one who stopped violence with a sentence. She peeked through the curtain. The black sedan from last night was still there, parked in the same spot. Engine cold, waiting. She felt a sting of fear, but something else too. A strange, quiet curiosity. Who follows a waitress home just to protect her? Her son stirred, rubbing his eyes. "Mom? Did the angels come again?" She smiled weakly. "Maybe, baby. Go wash up." Downstairs, Enzo Vitali stood beside a newspaper stand, collar turned up against the wind. He wasn't watching her door now. He was trying to convince himself he should walk away. Every rule he'd built his life on said distance keeps you alive. But rules hadn't seen that boy's hand sign. He pulled a crumpled photo from his wallet. A child, 6 years old, laughing under the same neon diner sign 5 years ago. 3 fingers up, a circle, a touch to the heart. "Luca," he whispered. Footsteps echoed in the stairwell. Mia appeared, coat buttoned, her son's hand locked in hers. When she saw him, she froze halfway down. "You're still here," she said. "I said I needed to understand." Her son peeked out from behind her coat. "Mom, that's the coffee man." Enzo's mouth twitched. "Smart kid." She exhaled, weighing fear against instinct, then nodded toward the cracked exit door. "Walk with us. Just not too close." The street smelled of rain and diesel. They crossed puddles. the little boy hopping over each one like it mattered. Mia kept her distance but couldn't stop glancing back. You some kind of cop? No. Reporter? He shook his head. Then what? Someone who used to believe in signs. She frowned but didn't. Push. At the corner store, she bought instant coffee and a single candle, her son's birthday treat, even though she couldn't afford cake. The cashier smiled at the boy. Enzo watched from outside, hands in pockets, trying to ignore the ache building in his chest. When she came out, the boy tugged her sleeve. Mom, can the coffee man come to my party? She laughed softly. We don't even have a cake, baby. Enzo's voice carried over the rain. I'll bring one. Mia turned, startled. You shouldn't. I want to, he said. Let me do one decent thing. Her silence stretched long enough for traffic to pass between them. Finally, she said, Fine, one slice, then you disappear. Back at the building, he waited near the steps while she unlocked the door. The boy waved again. 3 fingers, circle, chest tap. Mia didn't notice. She was busy opening the lock. But Enzo saw, and something in his composure broke. He spoke before he could stop himself. That sign, where did he learn it? She turned, puzzled. It's just something he picked up. Maybe from a book. Not from me, he said quietly, but from someone who mattered. She looked at him, half believing, half afraid. Who are you? He met her eyes, rain sliding down his collar like sweat. Someone who lost what you're holding. Thunder cracked above the city as she shut the door. On the other side, Enzo leaned against the wall, whispering to no one. Maybe the angels came after all. By evening, the rain had stopped, but the streets still shimmered like mirrors waiting for answers. Inside the diner, the hum of the old ceiling fans mixed with the faint crackle of a radio no one listened to. Mia refilled salt shakers, trying to pretend that last night never happened. She looked normal, apron tied, smile polite, but her hands betrayed her. Every time the bell over the door chimed, she flinched. It wasn't customers she feared. It was the possibility that he might walk in again. He did. Enzo Vitali stepped through the doorway like a shadow following itself. Same black suit, same silence. Only this time, he didn't sit. He waited until the other customers finished their meals and left, until only the hum of the fridge remained. I told you not to come back, Mia said quietly, wiping the counter even though it was spotless. I needed an answer, he replied. You already asked. And you lied. Her head snapped up. Excuse me? The boy, Enzo said. That sign he uses, the hand code, it's not random. You said he made it up, but it's mine. It belonged to my son. Mia frowned. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do. That journal he keeps, what's written inside? She froze. How do you know about that? He stepped closer, voice steady but low. Because years ago, a police raid took everything I had. My house, my wife, and my son's drawings. His notebook went missing that night. Whoever raised your boy, whoever passed him that notebook, passed him my child's words. For a moment, the only sound was the coffee pot sputtering on its last drip. Mia whispered, The orphanage. He waited. She continued, We found it tucked inside a box of donated books. My son wouldn't sleep without it, said the pictures felt familiar, like they were drawn just for him. Enzo's throat tightened. May I see it? She hesitated, then nodded toward the door. We close in 10. Wait outside. He left without another word. 10 minutes later, she emerged holding a small weathered notebook. The leather was cracked, edges frayed. She handed it over carefully, like it might burn. He opened the first page. Inside, pencil sketches of a boy with messy hair and a man with tired eyes, both making the same hand sign. Below it, written in a child's shaky handwriting, 3 fingers for strength, a circle for loyalty, A heart for truth. Enzo's jaw tightened. He blinked fast, but the tears came anyway. "My son wrote this," he whispered. "Luca." Mia's voice softened. "Then maybe he left it so someone else could finish the story." Enzo looked at her then, not as a waitress, not as a stranger, but as the mother who unknowingly carried his lost world forward. "You and your boy. You brought him back," he said. She shook her head. "No, we just kept him alive in words." Outside, headlights flashed. 2 black cars pulling up across the street. Men stepping out, coats heavy with purpose. Enzo closed the notebook and handed it back. "Get your son," he said. "They're not here for coffee." The street outside Rosie's diner shifted from quiet to charged in seconds. Engines cut, doors opened. 3 men in black coats stepped out, their movements too synchronized to belong to customers. Enzo Vitali had seen that formation before. Once, in a mirror. He didn't tell Mia to run, he just looked her in the eye. Inside. Now. She hesitated. "Who are they?" "Debt collectors. For debts I don't owe anymore." She backed up, hand on the door handle. Her voice trembled. "You brought them here." "No," he said, watching the men spread out. "They were already coming. You just didn't see them yet." The leader of the group crossed the street, hands visible, smile thin as glass. "Mr. Vitali," he called. "Didn't think retirement was your style." Enzo took 1 step forward. "Tell your boss to stop digging in graves. He might find a ghost." The man's smile faded. "Orders say, no ghost walks out alive." The first punch of gunfire ripped the air. Mia screamed, pulling back into the diner as a window shattered. Plates exploded off shelves. Enzo hit the ground, rolled behind a booth, and drew his weapon from the inside of his coat, not for attack, for cover. He fired once, clean, controlled, and the leader's gun skidded across the wet asphalt. The others hesitated long enough for him to grab Mia by the arm. "Where's your boy?" "At home." "Then we're leaving." They burst through the rear door as tires squealed on the main road. Smoke from the diner's kitchen mixed with gunpowder, turning the air thick and metallic. In the alley, Mia jerked her hand free. "I don't need your protection." He grabbed her shoulder, spinning her around. "You already have it." For a moment, neither spoke. Their breaths came out in fog. The distance between them was measured in trust they had no time to earn. "Why us?" she asked finally. "Because whoever took my son thinks you found what they lost." "And what is that?" He looked at the notebook in her hands. "Hope?" Sirens wailed in the distance. Not for them, for the gunfire. Enzo checked the street, eyes calculating routes, escape angles, time. Mia grabbed his sleeve. "My boy's alone." He nodded. Not for long. They raced through side streets lit by the flicker of neon signs and dying street lamps. Enzo moved like a map come to life, turning corners seconds before engines echoed behind them. When they reached the apartment, the front door hung open. The light inside flickered wildly. Mia ran upstairs calling her son's name over and over until a small voice answered. "Mom?" He peeked from behind the couch, clutching the toy truck. His eyes were wide but dry. She dropped to her knees, hugging him tightly. Enzo stood at the door, gun drawn, watching the shadows under the hall light. Then a familiar figure stepped into view. The same leader, bleeding but smiling. "Touching?" he said. "Let's end the reunion properly." Enzo fired first this time. No warning, no witness. The shot echoed through the corridor like a verdict. The man fell back, the smile still on his lips. Mia stared at Enzo, shock and horror mixing. "You just—" He cut her off. He would have done the same. Silence settled like dust after a storm. Enzo holstered his gun and looked at her son. The boy raised 3 fingers, made the circle, touched his chest again. Enzo whispered almost to himself. Luca always finished it with a smile. Police sirens grew louder outside. Mia turned to him. What now? He met her eyes. Now I stop running, and you start believing who I really am. The sirens didn't stop. They circled the block like wolves that couldn't decide which scent to follow. Mia stood in the doorway, arms locked around her son. Enzo watched the flashing red wash across the walls, light and shadow chasing each other like unfinished sins. He turned to her quietly. There's a back exit through the laundry room. Go now. She shook her head. Not without you. He gave a faint, humorless smile. You don't even know me. I know you saved my son. Before he could argue, the boy tugged at his sleeve, small, hand trembling. Mr. Coffee Man, he said softly, are you going to get in trouble? Enzo knelt, eye level with the boy. Maybe, but some trouble's worth it. He pulled something from his coat pocket, a chain, small and silver, holding a dented dog tag. This belonged to a little boy named Luca, he said. He used to think heroes wore suits. Turns out they just wear courage. The boy took it reverently, as if it meant something he already understood. The stairwell echoed. Boots, radios, commands. Enzo stood. You'll tell them you never saw me. Mia grabbed his arm. You can't face them alone. He met her gaze, steady, almost calm. I've been alone since the day they told me my son was gone, but tonight I saw proof that some pieces find their way back. The boy whispered, Don't go. Enzo looked at him for a long second, long enough for guilt to turn into peace. Then he turned and slipped down the back stairs, disappearing into the flicker of red and blue. By the time the police broke the door, only Mia and her son were inside. She told them a story simple enough to believe. 2 men fighting, 1 saving them, all gone now. Days passed. The city's noise swallowed the headlines, the diner reopened, the world kept moving. But at night, when Mia counted the tips on her kitchen table, she'd glance at the small notebook resting beside the candle, and at the dog tag hanging on the wall. Her son would trace the engraved letters, L. Vitali, and ask, Mom, do angels carry guns? She'd smile faintly, only the ones who've already been shot. One morning, weeks later, a letter arrived. No name, no return address. Inside, a single photo, the 3 of them at the diner's counter, Enzo's reflection visible in the chrome behind them. And below it, a note written in firm handwriting. The debts are paid. Keep the light on. Mia folded it slowly, tears blurring the ink. Her son ran in holding his toy truck, same as that first night. Mom, he said, the coffee man came back in my dream. He said to finish the sign. He raised his small hand. 3 fingers up, a circle, and a tap to his chest. Mia joined him this time, completing it together. The morning sun spilled through the cracked window, catching the silver tag on the wall. It glowed faintly, like something finally forgiven.